Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brilliance of Humanity Summit. My name is Deb McGregor. I'm so excited to be hosting this with you, and I am thrilled to be getting started with our very first guest, Veera Khalil. Welcome, Veera, to our amazing summit.
Thank you so much, Deb, for having me here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, I'm excited and wait till we get into this topic. And Vera's going to be talking to us all about disrupting humanity. And I could not think of a better way to start the conversation for the Brilliance of Humanity Summit than disrupting humanity. And speaking of disruption, Vera, this is something that is not new to you. You actually have had a lot of disruption to get to where you are. So I would love for you to share with us a little bit about your background, how you even got to where you are now, and a little bit about this disruption in your own life.
I thank you again. I would say my life has been all over the place. Being born in Germany and raised in Iraq and Norway, multiple places over Europe due to my father being an interpreter and translator in U.S. military army branch. It was never easy, but you have to adapt to certain lifestyle that you can pack next day and leave. So I would say going through that lifestyle and in 2012 being escorted to US by military due to my father's being captive overseas and seeing myself as head of household and raising six kids due to parents not being available and able and capable to doing that was always, of course, a challenge, but put me through a mindset of if I don't get to this task, no one else would, and there's a lot of people's life depending on it. So just a little bit of a step back is that the push you get for being responsible for other people's life is never easy.
Mm. Say a little bit more about that.
It's not easy when if it was just me and my mom being moved to Tampa and they tell us, hey, you might not be able to see your father again. And I see my mom getting medical help and I look down, it's just me, I'm the only child. I have to think about, oh, it's just me and my mom. I can take care of two people or just me per se. But when you look around and you see five kids, that's five kid life in your hand as a 14-year-old. So it's much easier to look at two people, but when you take a step back and you see a whole family that you need to raise and take care of and provide for, that's where the challenge comes from. You cannot put yourself first. You have to think about those five.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, it's one way that I see this connecting into this disruption for humanity is that it's almost like this step back to say, part of the disruption is actually recognizing it's not just about us.
Yes.
And I'm curious because you have lived in a lot of different cultural places and experienced different things. I'm curious if you have noticed this concept of self. Is it more prominent or prevalent here in the United States, or is it something that you notice everywhere?
The difference I noticed in the United States, at least in a healthy mindset, when you go to a therapy and they talk to you and you tell them, hey, I am a person that care a lot and I care about my whole family. And when you go through the steps of what you have been doing and what you've done and what you want to do, you get the common answer of, but you got to remember you need to put yourself first. It's more of a, I would say, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's more of a United States concept. When you
Mm-hmm.
are overseas, people say, oh, she's taking care of her family. She's seen as the golden personality that she's very giving, a go-giver. But in the
Mm-hmm.
United States, they say, all right, good for you, but take a step back. You need to take care of yourself. It's a self-care. So they put both sides. Again, I'm not saying one is better than the other because they both have good and bad. But It's more it's more talked about when you are here. They say, no, 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 you have to put yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a way, it feels like I'm being selfish. If I
Mm.
put myself first, then what am I supposed to do? Put my own benefit before everyone else? That it kind of feels a little selfish.
I love that we're bringing this up because I like to make distinctions between like self-care and compassion and empathy. Like there's so many different realms of this. And one of the things that I often talk to people about is that if we aren't caring for ourselves, it's really difficult to care for other people. That's self-care. That's not being selfish. That's like at a core. And then there is also this concept of self-focused, self-centered. So I am the all, I am the right.
Yes.
That's a completely different thing. And I like to make those distinctions with people because sometimes I think they get intertwined and they're not the same things.
They're not the same things, but there is a very fine line between those three.
Yeah.
And sometimes people mix them up, get intertwined, like you said, and people take selfishness for self-care.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just important to name, and I know that's not the entire conversation. And yet, it's interesting that that component can actually tie into this disruption concept that we're talking about. And I think it is definitely a valid point. So, you obviously at some point end up moving from Tampa to Fargo Moorhead. And that just in and of itself is disruption all the way around. If anybody watching this is not familiar with the difference in the two climates, literally you can get on a plane and have a 100-degree difference in January. So we're talking a big, big disruption here. Talk to us a little bit about that move and how you navigated that disruption.
I believe everyone's mentality can change based on who you talk to. Everyone's perspective can change based on who you talk to. So I talked to so many people that they advised me with different things, and a group advised me with, I asked them to help me find this place, a community, building community that I can trust my neighbor to leave the kids with when I need to rush my parents to hospital. And they named a couple places, and FM area was one of them. And she said it's a small community, but it seems like they are really uplifting. They care about each other, and it's a great community. It's what are you looking for? So I talked to an interpreter that lived here. He said the same thing, all the great things about Fargo Moorhead, but the only thing that was they they didn't mention in the right way was they said it's a little bit cold. I thought we could handle the cold, but after a little bit, we were able to. But like I said, they failed to mention how cold it was. Like it is very, very, it's very cold. But we thought we lived in Norway, we lived in Germany. We can definitely live here. We got into a Honda Odyssey family of 8 with my permit, drove all the way from Tampa Bay, Florida to Fargo Moorhead area, and that was a struggle because I drive 30 and a 70. I drove wrong way on the one way, and but hey, everyone's here and alive in one piece, so that's all that matters.
You definitely navigated some disruption in this for sure. And again, on so many levels. And what I really see in you is this resiliency, this tenacity, and this drive that you were determined
Oh,
to
yes.
make this happen, right?
Yes. I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, which was a building community, a building community that I can trust with my family, and a place that I can call home for everyone in my family. And we've been here since 2013. So I think I was, yeah.
It's amazing. And I love that you're bringing up trust because this is another piece of when we are looking at this concept of disrupting humanity, there has to be a fundamental trust somewhere.
Yes.
Talk more about what do we really need to trust if we're going to be disrupting humanity?
To be completely honest, I would say ourselves, because you're the one who has the drive. You're the one who has the ambition and the feeling that you want to do something more, you want to be out there and change the mindset. I'm not gonna wait for someone else to do it. I'm gonna get up and do it myself because sometimes it's just about that first initiative to be seen in a community and everyone else wants to join. So I say trust in humanity, trust in yourself that you're not alone.
Mm,
Trust the mentality that there are a lot of people out there that might want to do the same thing, but they need that first person to walk. So,
I think that, there's something about walking alongside each other. When we trust ourselves in the process and we trust what we know we can do, and then we hold a space for other people also trusting, there's something about this coming alongside each other to be able to disrupt humanity a little bit. And I love that you're speaking to this because truly, like it does start from what it's like, it starts within, it comes out, and also we're walking alongside each other. Like that's where the brilliance is, right?
yes.
And it's possible. Like if we, I almost think, Vera, like as I think about this, if we don't have a core fundamental belief that it's possible, then we aren't going to be disrupting humanity, right? Because it just will just sit back and isolate and we won't do anything.
Yes.
Which actually kind of leads me to the next question I was sort of curious about is what's the alternative? If we don't disrupt humanity, what's the alternative?
Let's say we might, if we go back to the first person who wanted to disrupt the norm, that was probably a couple thousand years ago. We might still be in that age if we didn't disrupt and get up and say, hey, this doesn't look right. So the alternative is we will stuck in a broken system that will spin on, and it's not fair for those who are living in it. It's not fair for next generation. It's not fair for next disruptors that they saw us not doing anything about it, and now they're in a system that they believe it might be right just because or their parents' generation didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that you said in one of your quotes was sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. I'm kind of curious if you have an opinion about how much worse do you think it's going to get before we can get to the better? Like, how do we shift? What does this shift look like? And I am kind of curious about how bad do you think it's going to get before we get better?
In the way I see things is that sometimes we have to hit rock bottom to ignite and feel that create that sensation in ourselves maybe or in other people to say, all right, that situation does not look right. So that's
Mm,
why I said sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. Sometimes we have to hit rock bottom for everyone to feel like there needs to be a change. There needs to be a disruptor getting out there and say, we need to move. We need to create something better.
So I think I know the answer, but I think I want to ask it anyway. Do you think everybody has the ability to be a disruptor?
100%.
So
I do.
because I think there's probably some people that are watching this and they're saying like, oh, I'm not a disruptor, I'm not a whatever,
No.
let's go there. Let's talk about, so how do people become a disruptor? Like what does that look like?
Well, besides the 5 ways to be a disruptor, we can sprinkle a little bit of information in there, but start with what do you see in the system that you feel like it can do better?
Hmm.
Start with the little issues. For example, when I was a student, I was able to see little things that was not working well. I used to be able to see issues that my brothers were struggling with when they are fixing cars. And now when I'm in a position that I work for Fargo Moorhead, West Fargo Chamber of Commerce, I have the connections. I have the ears of the people, the right people that can listen to. And those are the issues that will get to them. So
Mm.
that's the simplest way. Find the issue that you used to have struggle with. Find something that you want to see change in it, and then see who can be the people who have influence on it and get connected to those. The simplest, it's a simplest ask to ask someone for coffee and just learn about what is their job and learn about their strengths and figure out how can they help with your topic. The worst thing they can say is no.
Absolutely. Well, and as you're talking, it just occurred to me that maybe it might be useful for us to sort of give a definition around what do we really mean when we're saying a disruptor? Because I can see some people hearing that word and go, "Whoa, that sounds like the person flopping it, right?" What do you think a disruptor really is?
A disruptor is a person that believes that we can do better. A disruptor is a person that has a resilient mindset of even if the system fails you, you still want to continue and you know you can find the right person that can help you in the broken system. Resilient and mindset that goes with it can really build you up. It's not giving up.
Yeah. I
It's
love
being there for others. It's being that connector for others. It's everything that you can think of, honestly.
Yeah, and I as you're saying all these things out loud, it's almost like, yeah, let's brainstorm. Like, what is a disruptor? And one of the things that also popped for me at the same time was like, it's not, it's being willing to say, like, sometimes the status quo is not working. And it's okay to say the status quo isn't working anymore. And it's time to do something about it. And I think in some books we talk about the paradigm shift or the whatever. I To me, this is even stronger than paradigm shift. This is someone almost saying, okay, this is not working. It's not getting us to where we want to be. We need to put a little disruption here. We need to do a little something something to make this move, right? Because can we get stagnant really fast?
It's just changing the norm, changing the circle that I've been on for as long as we can remember. It's just saying, hey, let's put a dent in it and see what happens.
Absolutely. I love it. So I love this. Start where you're at. Identify something that maybe is just not working, or you just are like, no, something needs to change with this, and find out how you can be a part of that, be a part of the solution, or be a part of the disrupting with that thing. What might something else, when we think about somebody doing a little disruptive behavior, what are some other things that come to mind for you?
Ooh, uh, I'm not trying to give away all my cookies at the same time.
Okay, we're not gonna go with all of the cookies. Is there
Yeah.
is there is there one little chocolate chip that we can take a bite into?
I be the change for the community. Volunteer in a little thing that you see that's happening. Create the volunteering opportunity. Be a connector.
Yeah.
Being the being a disruptor is not just about changing the system, it's about helping other people. It's about I see an individual A needs help in an area that I know another individual B that can definitely help them. But at the same time, they can be beneficial for each other.
Yeah.
But it's not the normal route that usually they take, either one of them. So just seeing that imaginary line that these two can help each other in that way, you can see it, connect them and let them know. So as simple as, like I said, volunteer in a community event to get to know a person that you would have never talked to before.
Mm.
Or there are people who are scared to talk to people in general. So be disruptor for yourself too. It's not just about fixing the system, fix yourself internally. Know what are your fears are and just
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for giving us a little bite of the cookie. We won't go into any more. We'll be telling people in a minute how they can get more cookies. Um, I am curious about, as you think about humanity, what is your hope for humanity?
that's a tough one.
It's a
Some people
big
say both.
question. It's a big question. And I feel, and I'll just maybe give you some context while you're thinking about this, that I feel like we maybe aren't naming hope for humanity enough. It's almost like we put this out there as kind of this thing out there. And I almost feel like the more we can start naming what our hope for humanity is, that it actually moves us more towards that hope. And so that's why I was just kind of curious to get your insights on, what's your hope for humanity?
Honestly, I have to say, for people not to be scared of voicing their opinion sometimes. Some people say, oh, my opinion might not matter. You don't know that.
Mhm.
My idea might not matter. You don't know that. So my hope for humanity is, let's start with resilient and caring and passion. It just seeing growth in those areas,
Mm.
being able to be honest and be part of the problem, not just a solution. Here's the thing, sometimes we need to rise that problem up.
Mm.
Like I said, it needs to get worse before it gets better. Be part of the problem, not in a way that to create a problem, but be part of the problem to shine lights on the problem. And
Mm.
then, of course, help with the solution. So my hope is big, but nothing is big enough to be impossible.
Absolutely. And this is this place I love to hold, that if we can hold this place where we can talk about what's going on and know that it's a safe environment to talk about it, where we can be resilient, where we can, I love the way you, by the way, just talked about the problem. We can be a problem, not the problem. we can go after it, and yet not, there's a piece of the solution, and yet we can disrupt to get to that. And I love that. That was a great context, by the way. I love this space that you're holding, and I love the disrupting that you're doing. And what I really love is how you've taken your own journey to now broaden this out to say, hey, I've had this experience. Come alongside. Let me show you how to disrupt humanity a little bit. And together we can hold that place for hope. It's really beautiful, Vera.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And obviously, of course, if you would have asked me a year ago, I wouldn't have been this open about things. And that mindset, like I said, it comes from talking to people, having great mentor. And I did have a great mentor that he told me, people see resilient in your story and you shouldn't hide it. And there's a reason I'm going to keep him around forever to be my mentor.
Absolutely. And people do see resilience in your story. Obviously, we just got a little snapshot of it, but I have a feeling after watching this interview, people are going to want to know more about you and to be talking to you about your story and bringing you in to have these bigger conversations. It's just amazing. So, we want to let people know that you've got a little freebie that you've put together for people. Do you want to tell just a tiny little smidgen about it?
Yes. So I have a little thing that we call it 5 ways to be disruptor. And those 5 ways we mention, put in details about how you can be a disruptor in your own way. How can you be in touch with yourself and in your safe space to be a disruptor and be the change you want to see in your life and in the world and the community. So,
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for putting this together. And of course, friends, will be sending you the details on how you can get your own 5 ways to be a disruptor, which Vera has graciously put together for you. Vera, I just want to thank you so much for joining us for today's conversation. This has just been thought provoking, soul inspiring, and I'm going to even say a little hope provoking for me. Like, as I've listened to you, I feel the hope piece swelling a little bit. Like it's almost like a hope swelling place. And just want to thank you so much for doing this today.
Deb, I really appreciate you. I truly appreciate Joe for connecting me with you. Um, just talking to you make me feel like we need more of Deb. We need
Oh,
more of you
thank
around the
you.
world. I truly appreciate your time and thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you. I just when you just said that, it's like it's just felt very honoring. And I do believe this is a piece of the disrupting. Like, let's show people what does it really look like to honor a space and connection. And you just demonstrated that so beautifully. So thank you so much. Thank
Thank you. Again, you're amazing. And I know anyone that's connected to you would not hesitate to say that. So I appreciate you.
Oh, Vera, thank you so much. Friends, we want to thank all of you for joining us for the Brilliance of Humanity Summit. We've gotten off to an incredible start. There is so much more that will be coming. We want to thank Veera Khalil for joining us today and being a part of our Brilliance of Humanity Summit. So much more to come, friends. Have a beautiful day.